welcome back. Now in the previous video we said that sometimes you may make mistake while doing foundation or an element in model in place, which mainly will be the material. Now let's say that we did the foundation. Now if I click on the foundation here, basically this will tell me a structural foundation, and I know that I forgot the material. Now how would you check if the material is assigned correctly? Now in order to go back into model in place, you will double click on the column, on the foundation. Now if you double click on the foundation, it will bring you to the model in place. Now still you cannot select the material. Why? You have to again click on the foundation. Now it will take you back to the extrusion. Now within the extrusion you'll see the material. For example here it's air. Now I will just click on the three dots and I'll choose concrete. Then I'll press finish model. Now I have the foundation as concrete. It's important that the material to be defined, because when we do bill of quantity, according to the material, the quantity will be given. Now let's say that you don't like model in place. By the way, model in place, it's important you can create anything that comes to your mind. But let's say that, do I have any other way if I don't like model in place in order to create this foundation, matte foundation? I can. So let me just have the dimension in order to remember it. So I'm going to go to annotate. Now we know the dimension, but let's make sure I have the dimension. So if I take the dimension from here till here, we know this dimension was 960, and if I take from here till here, it's 1750, we have it. Now let's say if I don't want to use model in place, can I create this foundation by using isolated? Now let's say, how can we do this one? I'm going to delete this foundation here. I'm going to go to click on the isolated. Now doesn't matter, I can go to edit type here. There is only one of them selected. We said if you don't have it, you will go on load family. I'm going to go edit type. Then I'm going to change the foundation, the width of it to be 960 and the length of it to be 1750. So I will create it as a foundation. But before that, sorry, I'll duplicate. I'll say matte foundation. Matte foundation. So it's in the footing, rectangular matte foundation. I have the dimension there. Press OK. Now you realize that I have a big foundation. I have to press it. Yes, place it somewhere. Now it doesn't matter. We can place it later. We can move it to the specific or the correct location we have it. Yes, I'm just placing it according to here. Now it is not correct. Just gonna press escape. Look, this is another way that I could provide matte foundation, but we have to what? We have to make sure that this corner 60 by 60. Now in order to make sure that this corner is away from there, 60 by 60, now you know that we have to use move. Yes, I can click on this foundation and I have to use move. But in order to use move, for example, I have to make sure that I'm taking somewhere. For example, I'm gonna move this one first, bring it back here. So I brought it back, then I will move it from here as well, or bring it back to this. Why? Because I haven't provided any information. First I will bring it back here, then I can click on the move again. This time I can move it with dimension. I'm gonna come here and type 60. The idea I brought it back to that corner in order to provide the dimension. For example, 60 in this direction, then I'll click on the move again. From this corner, I'll go up and type 60. So now I'm sure that this is 60, 60 away from that. And I have the matte foundation. So press escape to get rid of this editing mode. Now if I have to go to one of the elevation to make sure that it is the top of the foundation is in the right location, and that's it. This is another way that I could do matte foundation. But remember, model in place, it's much more complicated. You can use it if you have stepped foundation. As I told you before, sometimes you have a stepped foundation, especially if you have an inclined places, there will be a step foundation like this. In order to do step foundation, you have to use model in place. So this is another way that we could do matte foundation. Now, I cannot explain wall foundation right now because I haven't explained wall. When I explain wall, then I will come back to wall foundation as well. There is another thing that we have to know. If you have a steel column, on the foundation, normally foundation is concrete. So if you have a steel on the foundation, we will explain the connection. There is a steel connection. We'll explain it. We have to provide a connection between the column, if it's steel, to the foundation, or when it's steel column and beam. We'll come back to these connections when it's required. Now this is what you have to know regarding to the matte foundation. Remember, single foundation is easier to place. Matte foundation we explain two-way. Wall footings or wall foundation, we'll come back to it when we explain how we do wall. Then we can show you how we can even create wall foundation.